Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a spoiler-free reading wrap-up and review of the 17 books that I read in the month of May. So, let's go. Starting off with all of the physical books that I read this month, I read the entirety of the Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I only planned on reading the first one, but I read the first one, got hooked, and went and immediately bought the rest of the series and binged it in like 2 days. It is a 5-star series for me. I absolutely loved it. So the premise, if you haven't heard, it's a young adult, like, mystery, romance kind of, but you're following Cassie Hobbs, who gets selected by the FBI to join their special program called the Naturals, where it's a group of teenagers that have these special gifts and talents that help aid the FBI in solving cold case files. And you're following along with that story, and it is so good. I would highly recommend this if you like true crime, Criminal Minds type vibe, because this is just the perfect series that encompasses that feeling. So, highly recommend. Building off of that, one of the other books I read was 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. This is like a horror thriller. If you liked A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, I wouldn't say you're automatically gonna like this book. It definitely is a much more intense thriller. So you're following Red and her 5 friends go on a trip in an RV. Well, they end up getting stranded in the middle of nowhere, and someone's actually shooting at them. And they're trying to figure out why and escape, and it's very intense, but I loved it. I love this type of thriller. I give it 5 stars. It was a super quick binge read for me. I think I read it in like a little over a day. So this is another 5-star read for this month. Okay, another book, The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walther. I'm actually doing a buddy read. Well, I did a buddy read with my sister on this book. And K.L. Walther's books are just perfect if you love good, sweet romances that don't have any spice. So if you don't like spicy romances, highly recommend this author. His are young adult romances, and they are so good. This is just the perfect summery vibes. So you're following Meredith Fox, who her sister actually passed away 18 months before, but her entire like extended family, they own this thing called The Farm, which is out in Martha's Vineyard, and it's a huge, like, not compound, but like just a big farm where like there's a bunch of houses and everyone in the family goes and stays, and they play this game of assassin every year where you're given a random target and then you have to try and eliminate them using water guns, and they play it all summer long. Well, one of Meredith's cousins is getting married, and for the first time since her sister died 18 months before, Meredith goes back to the farm with her family, and everything's obviously like different. She's grieving her sister, and she had just gotten dumped by her boyfriend, which that's rude of him. Well, she meets one of the groomsmen in the wedding, and I think he's the groom's stepbrother, something like that, maybe, I don't know, but it is such a good romance. I would highly recommend. I read it really quick. It's the perfect summery vibes. This book's actually in a summery romance video that I'll have coming out like next month, I think. So stay tuned for that. But another good, I think I gave this 4.5 stars. And yeah, perfect read. Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I was super excited for this read because I read Yours Truly last month, and it was my first Abby Jimenez book, and I just fell in love with her ability to write such realistic characters and her writing style. So I was so excited for this to come out. However, I think I picked it up at the wrong time. I had just read for like 2 weeks straight and just wasn't really motivated to read, and I decided to try and pick this up. So while I did enjoy the story while I was reading, I just wasn't motivated to read it. And I think it just kind of affected my view on the story. So I think if I read this at a different time, I would have liked it a lot better. I think I gave it 4 or 4.5, one of those. But I mean, like I said, like, I did enjoy the story. It's just I read it at the wrong time. So you're following Emma and Justin, who both have this curse where the people that they date, the person that they date after them, like, finds their soulmate. And they're both like, hey, we can break this curse, let's fake date and then break up, and then maybe we'll both find our soulmates after. And that's kind of the premise of the story, and they both have like family issues, stuff going on, and it is a really good book. Like, I feel like it's a lot more, like, there's Abby Jimenez books in general have like a deeper like plot line than just like a romance. So I would highly recommend this, but like I said, I think I just picked it up for me at the wrong time, but I still really enjoyed it. I'm probably going to reread this at some point, and hopefully like I'll enjoy it a little bit better. The last physical book of the month is A Funny Story by Emily Henry. I love Emily Henry. I'm actually doing an Emily Henry video coming up that I'm super excited for. But I read this and I gave it 4.5 stars. It wasn't my favorite Emily Henry book, but it wasn't my least favorite. Like, it was a good, fun romance. And pretty much you're following this story of Daphne and Miles, who their exes both broke up with like the respective partners to be with each other, and like that storyline is kind of where you pick up in the story, and Daphne ends up moving in with Miles because she gets kicked out of her house with her ex-fiance because he moved in with the other girl who was actually his childhood best friend and Miles' ex. So kind of a complicated beginning to the story, but you're just following them as they're trying to navigate their new life of being single and getting broken up with and just all of that stuff. So this book was really good. I did enjoy it. Like I said, I gave it 4.5 stars. I would recommend any Emily Henry book for that matter. She's just so good. Her books are just so good. Okay, moving on to what I read on my Kindle this month. The first thing I started out reading was Powerless by Elsie Silver, which is the third book in the Chestnut Springs series. So you're following Theo and Salome, who are childhood best friends, and Salome's about to get married and all of that type of storyline. Honestly, just the Chestnut Springs series in general is always a 5-star for me. Like, it is, those books are just, there's crack in them or something. Like, I just love them and I always read them so quick, and I just am in love with the storylines of every single character. I give it 5 stars. I would highly recommend Chestnut Springs if you have not read it already. All the books are on Kindle Unlimited as well. So that's a plus. My dog almost knocked over my camera. Okay. So moving on, the next book that I read, it was technically a series, so it was 5 books, but each book was only about like 150 pages, and it is the Mindfuck series by St. Abbey. If you like the Natural series vibes, like Criminal Minds, true crime type vibes, but you want it with some romance, some smut, and a little bit more adult, read the Mindfuck series. It is so good. Orzo, stop messing with my camera. He's down here just laying at my feet, but he keeps like nudging the camera. You're okay, babies. Okay. Yeah, so in the Mindfuck series you're following Lana and Justin, who Justin is an FBI agent trying to solve a serial killer murder case, and Lana is said serial killer, and they end up falling in love unknowingly. Like, he doesn't know that she's the serial killer, obviously, and it's just so good. I ate it up. Like I said, it's technically a 5-book series. I know the physical book is like all in one book and it just looks like a normal book, but on Kindle Unlimited they are separated into the 5 different books, but each one's like 150 pages on average. So they are very quick. I binged it in a day, the whole series. It is so good. So it's kind of the Naturals, but an adult version with romance, like more romance. So if that sounds interesting to you, I would check it out. However, I would check the trigger warnings. Some of the scenes can get kind of graphic, like in the serial killer aspect of things. So just check trigger warnings, and if that's something you're worried about. The next book that I read on my Kindle was Reckless by Elsie Silver, which is the 4th book in the Chestnut Springs series. So this one you're following Theo in winter, and like I said, just any Elsie Silver book, like, just does it for me. And it was so good. I gave that one 4.5 stars. It wasn't my favorite out of the series, but I still enjoyed it. I still read it in like a day, and I still ate it up. So I only have 1 book left in the whole Chestnut Springs series, and I'm kind of sad, but then I'm going to move on and read Wild Love, which I'm super excited for. The last book that I read on my Kindle this month was The Order by Katarina St. Clair. I hadn't heard of this book until I saw the author post a TikTok about it, and it was like the vibes of the book, and it's a dystopian romance fantasy type book, and it was so good. So it is a little bit longer. It's 750 pages, and it's gonna be a 10-book series. I just saw another TikTok by the author where she says how it's gonna be a 10-book series, which is kind of crazy. Only the first 2 books are out right now. They're both on Kindle Unlimited. Go check them out. But you're following the story of Fallon and Forrest. So we are in a post-nuclear war world where we're in a society where there's 2 very distinct classes. There's the untouchables and the unfortunates. And the untouchables are like the upper class, get everything handed to them, live in a perfect society, whereas the unfortunates pretty much work to serve the untouchables. So they do all of the hard work in society, and they're treated very poorly by like the overall governing body of the society. And pretty much Forrest is an untouchable and Fallon is an unfortunate. I keep messing up on the second like class. I don't know why. I've already filmed this video. I filmed this video last night, but I didn't like it, so I'm refilming it this morning. So I'm kind of just like, okay, back on track. So you're following Forrest and Fallon. They have a past that you find out a little bit later, but there's like some romance in the book and drama and fantasy and dystopian, and it's just so good. The vibes are perfect. I would go read the synopsis. I'm not doing a good job on explaining this book, but it was really good. I enjoyed it. I'm gonna read the second one this month, and I'm super excited for it, and it's something I haven't heard a lot of people talk about, and I realistically only really found it because the TikTok randomly came across my For You page. So that is one I would definitely recommend. I gave that book 4.5 stars. So the last book of the month, it was Pitch Black by Elsie, what was her name? By Elise Noble. It was actually an audiobook, and it was my first ever audiobook actually, so it was kind of exciting. I got it for free on the Stuff Your Earbuds Day earlier this month, and to be quite frank, I didn't like it, but I was listening to it while I was at work, and it was just kind of like on in the background while I was sitting at my computer doing work. And at that point, I was already like 2 hours into the audiobook out of the 9 hours, and I was like, I'm just gonna finish it. So I just listened to it all the way through, and yeah, I didn't really enjoy it. It was like a 2.5 stars, maybe 2 stars, I don't know. But it was my first ever audiobook, so I just stuck it through, and I wouldn't really recommend it, so I'm not going to talk about it because I didn't really pay attention to that much of it. So, yeah. So that is it, guys, for my month of May. I read a lot, which a lot of the books I read in like a 2-week time period in between when semester ended and my internship started, because I didn't have anything to do. So I literally just read all day every day for 2 weeks straight pretty much. So that's where a good amount of these books like were read, and it was just so fun. I love getting back into reading, especially since semester is done. I just have a lot more time to read, and yeah, I'll probably be reading a lot more audiobooks this summer just because I'm at work 40 hours a week and I'm sitting at a desk the whole time, so it's nice to just put on an audiobook in the background. But stay tuned for more videos. I have a June TBR video coming out, as well as like a summer reading and just vlogs and everything. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you like and subscribe, and I hope you have an amazing month, day, whatever. And I will see you somewhere else on the internet. Bye!